So I hope you enjoyed our little public television show. This is what we've been doing for all of these many years.
It took you so long to ask us.
Yeah, really.
We've been waiting for that invitation.
I know. We saved the best, not for last, because we hope to stay around for a while now.
Absolutely.
This is our 47th year. So the irony is that we started doing our show 7 years before you guys even started your
before we
career.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of milestones, so this is the 40th anniversary that you've been together. What does it mean to stay together and play together for 40 years? There's more to it than meets the eye.
Fisticuffs.
Well, you survived.
Nah.
We never really thought about it. You know, when we started, one of our favourite bands was the Sex Pistols, and they were together for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they all moved on to other things. And so the life expectancy of a band was not that long. Even the Beatles was less than 10 years. But we did have the Rolling Stones there carrying on. And we just wanted to do it for as long as we possibly could. And I guess something worked out.
Yeah, we've got a great belief in our chemistry together. I mean, we've all gone and done work with we've all gone and done other things, and we just keep coming back to each other, and we believe in the music that we still have to make.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know?
I believe that.
And we feel that we can still create together, which I think is the most important thing. We could be out there just playing all the old songs, but we believe, as John said, that we can create new music and bring new music to the world, and that kind of keeps us fresh, keeps us going.
So it's
It's
not
funny. I was going to say something, but
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
don't mind
please.
if I don't say it.
Hey,
Okay.
go.
I was going to say that, you talk about this 40 years. What's it like, that 40 years? It's been really up and down. I mean, that's the thing. And I think that's the normal story for a band. That the fact that there have been times when we've been really strong and really great, and there have been times when we're really low and just hanging on by a thread. But we did manage to hang on in those low times. The great thing about being in the band is when you get demoralised, or when I get demoralised, there's three other guys to pick me up, and then when one of those is demoralised, I'm one of the three that picks him up.
Yeah. So Future Past is your first new album in 6 years. And essentially it was created during the lockdown, during this very bizarre time we've been living through for the past, what is it now, almost 2 years. But the project changed from where it began to where it was actually completed, correct?
We actually got to a point at the beginning of last year when we thought we were going to be able to release the album, and then the lockdown hit and we had to leave it on ice for 9 months. And during that time, we actually didn't really try to work on it because it just wasn't possible. And we went back in 9 months later and thought, okay, what have we got? Let's open up the vault. And I think we were all pretty thrilled with what was there, but we were able to zero in on what wasn't there.
I've kind of got an analogy for it. Before the lockdown, making the album was a little bit like driving along at night with just your headlights on, full beam, no lights around you, and you could just see the road ahead of you, not a lot else. And it was quite hard. But and then we stopped the album, and it's almost as though during that time that we were away from it, the sun came up, because when we came back, we could see the whole landscape, and we could see exactly where this road was going.
I also was thinking that it was interesting. We actually came back after this 9 months that we were apart. Mike Garson, who'd been David Bowie's pianist for so many years, we'd met him and he'd come and played on the album before lockdown. And he approached us toward the end of the year and said, how do you feel about participating in this Bowie tribute? I'd like you to perform 5 years. And we were like, whoa,
That's
a sacred cow song.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of Bowie songs over the years. So we actually came back together to record that.
Yeah.
And I think we all approached it with, it was a fantastic thing to do, but we all brought our best game to it, and I think we had a really strong experience doing that, and that kind of helped us. Then
I think it was the first time that everything just seemed to fall into place, didn't it? With that,
yeah.
And I think that seemed to happen with the rest of the album after we got back.
It's the first time in sorry.
Somebody said so.
I was going to say, it's the first time in 40
I'm just gonna be
years
quiet.
that we actually had the opportunity to take a break in the album that long.
Yeah.
And it did make things clearer.
Yeah, we would never choose to do that. Never. I mean,
Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Taylor.
I was going to say one of the great things as well, we didn't have any time constraints. Usually we've got a gig booked or a tour coming up or whatever, so it's a real luxury to just have a completely open book.
Well,
and we
it
could really
was.
take the time to finish the record properly.
but I don't know.
Eliminate
I thought that we felt that COVID, we could feel this move out of COVID. You know, you could see people were starting to talk about live shows, and I felt I wanted to be part of that. I wanted our album to be out at this time. I wanted to be able to get back on stage at that time, you know, personally.
So how did you go about choosing the special guests for this album? Graham Cox and others.
They kind of the special guests really. There was no period at which we went, okay, we need to choose some special guests. They just came at the right time and for the right songs. I mean, Graham was somebody who was there very much from the outset. You know, we'd only really been working for a couple of weeks before.
No, he was day one.
He's day one. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he was right there at the beginning, and Errol was the one who made that happen. They're very good mates. They live close to each other. Obviously, working with Giorgio Moroder was something that we've all kind of wanted to do for a long time, and Nick really made that happen. And then the other collaborations, kind of we on the song "More Joy," we had this chorus, "More Joy," and Nick said to me, he says, "I think we need some Asian girls on it, going more joy." I said, "I know exactly who to ask," because I've been listening to a lot of alternative modern music recently, and I got in touch with this band in Japan called Chai. They're an all-girl punk band, and we got in touch with them, and they came to Tokyo and in a studio in Tokyo. We had a remote link going, and we recorded them there. And then with Hammerhead, I'd had this idea that I was desperate for that song to make it on the album. And I think it was in danger of kind of fading away a little bit. So, yeah, it's in danger of extinction.
Was at one point.
And I thought, God, I heard again. It's some music I'd heard. I'd heard this style of London rap, where these girls rap in really London accents, you know. And I liked the sound of it. I thought that would be so off the wall for us and so different. That could be the voice of Hammerhead. And so we approached Ivorian Dawn, and she said yes. And Tove Lo was one of the. She came on a list, didn't she? There's a list of people who they thought we could try a collaboration with. I'm not sure if it's the management or the record company. And John and I went, oh, Tove Lo. We went to see her in at Lollapalooza in Sao Paulo. She's pretty good. So we sent a lot of songs to her. And she picked the song. She said, I think I can do something great with this song. And so she sang on Give It All Up, and it made all the difference.
It must be difficult
I
at
missed anybody?
times.
Mike Garson, we've done that one, haven't we?
It must be difficult at times to escape that bubble and to maybe even force yourself to listen to other music, to new music, as opposed to just focusing on what you're doing or listening to the same music you've been listening to for so many years. And most people are guilty of the same. They listen to what they grew up with in high school or in college or whatever.
Or whatever you're working on.
Yeah.
I mean, as musicians. Well, I mean,
I think as a band, we're really curious about music still. We all like new music. Of course, we like the things we grew up with and things from each decade. But there's something about hearing something fresh that you haven't heard before, and a young artist who's got a slightly different idea, that it will always be incredibly exciting.
Yeah, we're still music fans, really. And I think it's very important that we stay in the moment. You know, we've got so much history with our back catalogue. You know, it's an incredible catalogue of music, but we have to try and stay in the here and now and, you know, always have our feelers out for what's going on out there.
one of the things I did in lockdown was start a radio show. It's on